Hey, Saners. Sorry about that, a bit of a delay on the usual preview time, but I'm here, so just wait for a few other Saners to tune in and then we'll get started, talk about the team, how we're all feeling after last week, and get into it. And comment your thoughts. If you've seen the team already, hey Christina, let me know what you think and how you're feeling going into this Collingwood game, because you know, it could have been a very different story after last week had we have lost to Richmond like everyone was expecting. We might be going into this game against Robert Harvey as caretaker coach thinking, you know, maybe we won't win this, but suddenly we beat Richmond and we go into this game with a lot of confidence, and really the rest of the year kind of looks differently and feels differently. Someone's just commented there and said they can't believe that we're underdogs. Yep, Sportsbet has us at around $2. I don't know how that's possible. I'm thinking it's probably just a lot of Collingwood supporters, you know, big supporter base. They've put a lot of money on their team for some reason, and that's the reason why they're favourites. But really, on form, on the last couple of years, you'd say we're the better team. But last time we did play them, they did spank us at the MCG. So that's the thing. When you look at this lineup, when I look at Collingwood now, they've had a poor year. They've had a poor couple of years. But they did make finals last year. They did win a final, just like us. They did smash us last year. And they also have that, they've still got that nucleus of a very good team. Of a team that played in a grand final not even 3 years ago. So we can't take them lightly. This is a game that we must win. A game that we're expected to win. Despite what the odds say, we are expected to win this game. Last week was different. We were underdogs, we were backs against the wall, we had the bye, we had all the internal conversations going on, and we needed to respond regardless. But this week, this is the ultimate test because we're playing a team we should beat. We are on a high, which can be scary because that can bring complacency, and we're known to lose these games, aren't we? In our history, in the last couple of years, when we're expected to win, we drop those games, and when we're not expected to win, we win those games. So if we don't win this game, last week doesn't mean anything. So we really do need to back it up. We've won 2 in a row, I think only a couple of times this year, or maybe once. So I think it's really important that we win this week, and with the whole hub situation, with all the interstate teams coming into Victoria, this is a great time for us because we play Brisbane in a week and they're probably the form team of the competition. So if they're having to fly down here and we play them somewhere in Melbourne, whether it's the G or Marvel or in Geelong, whatever, that puts it, you know, instead of them being red hot favourites, it makes it a closer game than what people will think. And that can, you know, it could take something like that to really change our season and to get our mojo back and to get on a roll, because that's what we have to do if we realistically want to make finals. We need to win probably 6 of our last 8, which doesn't leave a lot of room for error, but it all starts against Collingwood. We win that game and we kind of move on just each week. If we look too far ahead, we'll just lose our minds. And I'm guilty of it. I go on to this, I think it's Squiggle, the ladder predictor, and yeah, you do all the margins exactly the way you want, and Saints make the 8 or Saints just miss the 8, and you just, yeah, when you think like that, you just can't enjoy football. So I'm just focus on the Collingwood game. Get to the game if you can. I think tickets were sold out pretty quickly. So yeah, just get to the game and hopefully the boys can smash the Pies, because it'd be great to, you know, despite having such a bad year from our standards and our expectations, to have a period where we've beaten Richmond and Collingwood in consecutive weeks. That would be beautiful. So hopefully the boys get the job done. But enough of that intro. It was a bit longer. Let's get into the teams. Interesting selection. The biggest surprise is that we've gone with an extended bench. So, you know, generally because of our injuries, we've not really had the luxury of doing that, of bringing more players in. I think there might be a few injured boys playing from last week that we don't know about yet, and there might be a few changes tomorrow, or they're just rewarding some of the boys that played really well at Sandringham last week, that beat the Richmond VFL team. Perhaps they're just getting a call up there, so who knows. But in terms of the ins, it's Dean Kent, Jack Billings, Jack Loney, Paul Hunter, And the only out is the predictable one, Nick Caulfield, with a hamstring 4 to 6 weeks. So a bit disappointing there for Caulfield, but we've got cover in the back half. Highmore's been great. Obviously, Jimmy Webster's back, Dougal Howard, Wilkie, McKenzie floats there, and Sinclair off the halfback flank with that rebound. So I think it's a settled lineup. Whether we go in with any more changes, I don't know. I'm hoping that Paddy's fit. I know there's been some question marks on him, but he pulled up pretty well. I think he's trained all week. Rowan Marshall, a Saints TV fan, messaged me and said that they bumped into him yesterday or the day before and asked him about the game. And they mentioned, Rowe mentioned that last week it was very much just playing, getting 10 kilometres of running into the game. And this week it's all, around 80% game on time on ground and then building to 100% and being fully fit. So they're slowly easing Rowe back into it. But yeah, he's going to have a massive say in this game. Obviously, Collingwood's got Grundy, and that's pretty much it for them with the ruck. And he's always had a very good battle with Grundy, but Grundy's the sort of player that has also, despite Rowe having good games against him, he's had equally a very good game, and that's been enough to supply the Steele side bottoms, the Taylor Adams, the Scott Pendleburys. They're playing Jack Crisp in the middle of the ground as well. Hoskin Elliott floats through there as well as Josh Dacos, who's got that bit of X factor. He's kind of like their Gresham, that explosive sort of smaller outside mid that's good around the sticks. So they've got some dangerous players. Their forward line is an area that I think we can be comfortable with. They've got DeGoey, who's come back in, and he's probably the most notable in. That's the big one. He's playing forward with Myercheck, Elliott, Josh Thomas, Darcy Cameron, and Bianco. So a lot of those players are okay, but they're not as dangerous as, say, the Richmond forward line that we played against last week, and that was a forward line without Tom Lynch, and that was still probably better than this Collingwood forward line. So I think our defence matches up well against them. We've got that perfect mix of tall and small, and they've got mainly small to medium-sized forwards. They don't really have that gun tall. Darcy Cameron's probably that tall, and I know last week they played Brodie Grundy deeper, so where they have the luxury of doing that because we've got Paddy and Rowe playing. Fingers crossed that's how it ends up. They probably can't afford to put Brodie Grundy deep forward like they did against Fremantle last week. So yeah, and you can't forget they've got nothing to lose. And I've said this to many St Kilda people during the week. They've got Robert Harvey as coach. They want to play fast. They just want to take the game on, and whether that means they kick a big score or they concede a big score, it's irrelevant to them. They just want to play attractive football because under the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months under Buckley, it's been boring football, it's been defensive, it's been kicking side to side and backwards, not going direct. Last week they did it against Fremantle. They went direct, they kicked 79 points. They lost the game, but it was exciting, it was fast. Whether they can do that against us, it's another question. I think if they do, we'll just play it fast the other way and it'll just be a shootout and we'll see which forward line does the better job. But if it's a slow grind, I think it'll be comfortable for us because we've got those inside mids. Brad Crouch, Jack Steele, Luke Dunstan, these guys going through there. Ryan Burns has done a great job. You can't forget that. And obviously Seb Ross coming back after being away from family. So, Justin Lepage, the assistant for Richmond, he mentioned during the week that St Kilda have always kind of struggled to decide what type of team they are, whether they're a classy team with a bit of grunt or they're a grunt team, a tough team with a bit of class. And he settled that they're a strong contested team with a bit of class. It's not the other way around. And I think hopefully we've settled on that. We know what we are. We're not a classy team. We're a workmanlike, tough, physical team that will tackle all day. But on top of that, we've got a little bit of class that can finish the job, and I think that's where we can get Collingwood. We beat them on the inside, we dominate them in the rucks, and we get them on the outside, and hopefully our forward line takes care of themselves because their defence is, there's issues there. They've got Roughhead, and they've obviously got Maynard, but outside of that, they've got Magin, Main, Quaynor, and Noble, all not really, like-for-like matchups of, say, our forward line where it's going to consist of Rowan Marshall, Max King, Tim Membry, Mason Wood, who plays tall and leads up. Obviously, Paddy Ryder might rest there as well. And Jack Higgins, who's he's a small, but he plays tall. He's a good contested mark. So I'm pretty excited about this game. I thought last week it showed the makings of something, and that was closer to the Saints footy that we wanted. This week, it's all about sustaining that. It's about being consistent. And that is the worst thing you could say about a St Kilda team, is to be consistent, because we're not generally a consistent team. We haven't been this year. Last year we were, but for the last 6 months, not even close. So this is a big test for us, because Collingwood know they can get us. So I think it's a really important game. If we do want to make finals, you've got to tick it off on the fixture, get a good 4 or 5 goal win. Even more would be great for percentage. And, it's a bit harsh because we're playing Robert Harvey and you want him to do well, but for those 2.5 hours on Sunday, I hope he's the worst coach in the country and we walk all over them. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game. The weather looks similar to the game last Friday night when we played Richmond. So we've got form at the G, and we've also obviously got form playing kind of a wet weather type game at the G as well. So I think that puts us in good stead. But I'll go through some of these comments. I'll scroll all the way to the top, and then as usual, we'll go through them. Thanks again for watching, guys, and obviously for people sending in stars. That's really, really nice. You don't have to do that, but if you want to, thank you very much. Kev, a Collingwood fan. Hey, mate, we will beat St Kilda. All right, we'll lock that in. I hope you tune in for the review. If you guys lose, you still need to tune in for the review, and then you can say, well, good game, Saints. But I don't know. I reckon we've got the pies. Knowing every time I say something like that, I'm never confident with Saints games. But the second I show 1% confidence with us, we always bottle it up, and I always look like an idiot. So hopefully this time is one of those rare occasions where I can be confident and they actually justify it with a good performance on the weekend. But generally, not usually the case. But Kev, good confidence there, mate. Let's get it, Godfather. It's from Jack. Another Jack says, will Ryder be a late withdrawal? I haven't heard any rumours that he would be. I prefer him just to play, and if he can't ruck the whole game, play more forward, put Rowe in the ruck, and that's it. But you have to question it when they've got Paul Hunter in as one of the ins. There must be some sort of question mark over one of our rucks, or it's, again, like I said, just to reward their good form at Sandy. He had a stellar game last week, Paul Hunter. Dean Kent's been great after his comeback from concussion, so great to see him playing good footy there. And Jack Loney as well has been really good. So I think those players are just being rewarded. My likely scenario is it's just going to be a straight swap. Billings in, Caulfield out. Leo Connolly goes back to being the medical sub, and hopefully he gets some more minutes being the sub next week, or maybe he gets a full game, who knows. But that would be my ideal scenario. Christina says, are we looking good? I think we are. I think on paper we look very good. We look more settled than we did in the first 6 weeks. And you look at our last month, and I know some people will say, well, Jake, we've only won one game. Yeah, but our last month against the Dogs 5 weeks ago, in the first half, we conceded 10 goals. 10 goals in the first half. Since then, the first half of the next 4 weeks, we've conceded 12 goals. So in that one game, we basically conceded as many first half goals as we have in the last month of football. That to me says our defence and our midfield are working again. We're stopping the opposition from kicking goals. We've only conceded 1 goal in the first half, I think in the last 2 weeks. Or at least in the last 2 weeks, we've kicked the first 5 goals of the game and held the opponents goalless in the first quarter. I don't think many teams have been able to do that this year, but we've done it against Adelaide. We didn't win the game, I know, and we did it against Richmond, and we played a 4-quarter game and we won. We should have beaten Geelong. We should have beaten Sydney. We should bloody well be in the 8. And that would be insane to think that we should be in the 8 with the injuries we've had, the inconsistencies we've had, and just all of the bad media noise. Everything that could have gone wrong this season has, and there's still a chance that something good could come from it. I'm not saying we'll make finals. Even if we don't make finals, I just want us to bring Saints footy every week and give us the best chance of winning games. If that's good enough to sneak into the 8, great. If it's not, we learn. We've had a tough fixture. We've had injuries. We've discovered Ryan Burns, Connolly, Bytel's looking good. And it might force our hand and fix a few things before we really challenge in 2022. But yeah, the focus is obviously on Collingwood, but I think we're looking pretty good. Can't believe we're underdogs. That's from Jason. Yep, I think it's just the Pies fans enjoying some, sports betting. Catherine reckons, hey Jakey, Kent to have a blinder. You know what? I wouldn't mind Dean Kent having a go, but this is why I'm a bit suspect of these extended bench, because we've got We've got Higgins, we've got Butler already playing those two smalls. We're not going to bring in Loney and Kent. If anything, it might just be one, but then you've got to drop Higgins or Butler, and that's not going to happen. So I don't see how Kent sneaks in off the extended bench. Maybe we go extra small and we go with a third small. But every time we've gone three smalls, we've done that with Higgins, Butler and Loney. It's never worked. Maybe we can try it with Higgins, Butler and Kent, because Kent is capable of going into the midfield and getting the ball. Loney, not as much. Kent is, he's faster, he's more physical, he's a good tackler, he's a pressure type small forward. And he did that really well last year. I think he's just been out of form, and obviously with his concussion, he hasn't been able to sneak into the team with Higgins and Butler playing footy and being in the layout. But if he gets his chance, I reckon on a Sunday, a wet Sunday against the Pies at the G, it's a perfect game for Dean Kent. Christina says she's feeling confident. That's good. It's a rare feeling for a Saints fan to feel confident. So when you do, cherish it. Lalo reckons Marshall might be a laid out. Don't even joke about that. I think Marshall's looking good. I think that from what I've heard, he's spoken to a few people internally, he's spoken to a few Saints fans, and they've messaged me, and he reckons he's definitely playing this week. And if anything, it might be just giving Ryder a spell with his age and everything. But I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's probably more just rewarding Hunter for being in really good form, and whether he sneaks in as an emergency or even as a medical sub and Leo Connolly gets a starting position, you don't know. But we'll have to wait until tomorrow at 5 o'clock for that to be confirmed. Couldn't beat an egg. Fair call. I think we have a chance. It's from Luca. We love being underdogs. It's from Dylan. That's exactly right, mate. We do. I think we're underdogs against the Gold Coast and we beat them. We're underdogs against GWS and we beat them. We're underdogs against West Coast and we beat them. We're underdogs against Richmond and we beat them. And the only game I think this year that we've won that we weren't underdogs for was North. That's it. Every other game, the odds have said the opposite. So this is a good omen. We're underdogs again, technically, judging by Sportsbet. I don't think we are, but if that's the case, then hey, we're 4-0 being underdogs going into a game and winning. So that's pretty good odds. We'll beat the Collingwobbles. It's from Jack. This one's from Marcus. I was ecstatic after last week. Unless we play consistent footy, Pies might get it. Grundy will have to be taken by Ryder and Marshall. They aren't far off us. They're not really. I mean, they've lost games, but they haven't been spanked like we have previously. So they've got that under us. But our best this year has been far better than their best. Although they can say they beat Melbourne. They beat the top team only 2 weeks ago. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. They're capable when they're on, similar to us. But if we play like we did last week, and they play similar to how they played against Fremantle, they take the game on, make some mistakes, I think eventually we'll get the better of them and we'll kick a winning score. Up the Saints, it's from Jono. Duncan says, time to back it up, Saints. After last week, go the Saints. Great show, Jake. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks for tuning in. And that's exactly right. How many times do we have to say it? There's no point beating the good teams when you can't beat the teams below you. We've beaten teams above us, 2 of them. Now it's time to beat a team below us. We've dropped a few games to teams in and around us. Who have we lost to? Essendon, who's around us on the ladder. And then obviously Adelaide is the big one that we lost to. So there's 2 there that hurt. Those are 2 teams that want to get into the top 8. But yeah, all we have to do is win games. Whether other results go our way or not, it's irrelevant. We just got to win games and see where the cards fall. Is Ryder injured? That's from Marcus. I don't believe so. I haven't heard anything on Twitter. And usually when that's the case, that's when the news breaks pretty quickly. So I'm backing that they're both fine, or at least there's been a niggle during the week and they're giving Ryder until like last minute of the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if Paul Hunter's the emergency and we'll wait until basically Sunday morning to see whether our rucks are good. But either way, whether we're with Paddy or not, I think we're good enough to win. Is Billings in? Yep, Billings is in. He's a definite starter. I might wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, a lot of comments. There's too many to go through. Get off the crack. That's awesome. Josephino says, give us a real chance. Excited for this Sunday. I know it's the first time where I'm really looking forward to a game, because previously we've never really come off a massive win and you feel like the belief's back. You know, even the West Coast win or the Gold Coast or GWS, those sort of North Melbourne as well, they weren't wins that you looked forward to the next week because there were still cracks there. But last week was such a perfect performance and there was so much heart about it. You know, I cut a video during the week for a Saints TV follower, and it was just the celebrations after the goals. And it was just so different to every other week. The players were getting around each other. They were high-fiving. Dougal Howard was running from full-back to high-five the players kicking goals. So that's a great sign. I think that, you know, this is hopefully the start of something. You know, our big win against Richmond in 2017 set up Richmond for a dynasty, or a crack at a dynasty. Hopefully this win against Richmond this time doesn't benefit Richmond, and it's setting us up for hopefully the next 4 or 5 years of, you know, of finals football and of being a consistent, you know, and a competitive football team. This could be the changing of the guard. Maybe there's some belief there. We don't know, but we'll know on Sunday night, you know, at the end of the Collingwood game, whether last week was a one-off or is something that's going to be sustainable and really can build the foundation for the club moving forward. Yeah, I'm loving. There's a lot of delusional Collingwood fans just around the Saints TV stream today, which is very nice. Good to see that the streams are reaching far beyond just Saints fans. We're getting national now, Sainers. So good to see. Thomas is Saints by 40. Too easy, go Saints. Loving the confidence there. I'd be happy with 40 points, but honestly, I'd just be happy with a win. Doesn't matter how much. I might leave it there, guys. Yep, wrap it up there. Thanks again for tuning in. Quick shout out, if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, make sure you do before the game. It's a cracker of an episode. There's so many laughs, some loose comments, and obviously we preview the Collingwood game. So get onto the Saints TV podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. I'll be back on Sunday night. I'll be reviewing the game. I'm watching it with the fam. My dad is a Collingwood fan, but he loves the Saints, so it'll be fine. Hopefully he's barracking for the Saints more than the Pies, but that'll be interesting. But hopefully Sunday night I'll be back on Facebook doing the review, talking about us winning 2 in a row. But until then, guys, have a great rest of your Thursday night. Enjoy your Friday and your Saturday, and I'll see you after the game on Sunday for hopefully a big win. Take care, guys. Go you Sainers.